Hey, welcome to the Bill and Frantz Show. I'm Bill.
And I'm Frantz. We have a great show for you today. We want you to stay tuned because we have special correspondent Bryan on to give you the facts and the fictions. We'll be back.
Okay, welcome to the Bill and Frantz Show. We've got our special guest Bryan Edwards yet again to effuse his opinions upon the world.
Special correspondent.
Are you okay?
That's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the invitation, gentlemen.
All right, well, let's just jump right in. You'd think the election story would be over, but there's still more election stories dribbling in. The magic state of Florida.
Well,
Lieutenant Colonel Allen West has finally, after 2 weeks, conceded.
22nd Congressional District in Florida, up in the air since November 6th was Election Day, is that right?
Yes.
And finally he conceded. Now you know that this is one of 6 total congressional seats, some in Arizona and some scattered about the country. This is one of 6 that was still in question for days and days and over a week after the election. Every single one of them, and now today, every single one of them went to the Democratic Party. That is the representative running for the seat as a Democrat. Most famously, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, which we like to call the General. What do you think about that?
I'm glad to see the jerk go. I just didn't like General Allen West. He was a divider. We call him the General, but Colonel. Lieutenant Colonel was a jerk. And I was just tired of him. I'm glad to see him go.
Well, Frantz, I think what happened was Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, when he became a congressman, he actually believed he was a general. There is no cartoon character who came out of the Tea Party movement. He was a Tea Party darling, and he stood atop all of their issues, just as almost the flag bearer, to say we are for everything that the Tea Party stands. There's not a more cartoonistic fixture in American politics who was more hateful in his speech, more divisive in how he described and supported the issues that he was in favor of.
What are some examples of his hateful speech, hateful rhetoric?
It is appalling. I've actually tried to repress them. This is some of the ugliest political discourse that I've seen in American politics in the last 10 years, and it's been pretty brutal in the last 10 years. So when the Tea Party comes up and they say no more money for poor people, if you can't pay for the food, guess what? You go hungry. If you cannot pay for your medical care, you have a medical issue? Let's get the dollars out. If you can't pay for it, too bad. Never mind that we actually have living, breathing people with blood flowing through their body, that time is of the essence when it comes to starvation and medical care. You don't do it now, we show ourselves as an uncivilized society, then people just start dying with tumors on the street. I mean, it looks like a second or a third world country. These are the positions that Allen West held and the Tea Party hold. However, you will see that the Tea Party actually tries to take a slightly more demure or more civilized tone in supporting the exact same policies. Allen West will be angry, divisive, loud, and insulting as he basically says, you can't pay for your kids' medical care or food? Guess what? You don't eat.
You're on your own. FOP.
Right.
That's right.
FOP.
You're on your own. Individualist. Ayn Rand. We don't need any community. Unless, of course, we need to somehow get ourselves a military that comes together for a single...
That's important.
Yeah, now that's important.
Well, hey, what do you expect from the Tea Party and the evangelical right?
I'm having a problem being able to clearly state what I think we're going to get from the Tea Party, because the world as it is not necessarily the world as I want it.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the election was an indictment of a flash in the pan that we call the Tea Party. People who basically say, don't take away my Social Security or my Medicare, but I'm tired of all those government programs.
Right.
They are walking contradictions fueled by hate and ignorance. Ignorance in the sense that they don't know necessarily what's going on. Sure, there are some who do. But when you start to discuss with Tea Party members, and it's been widely reported in the media, that when they start to get concerned about their own Social Security or Medicare, they're like, wait a minute. I'm not for that. I contributed to Social Security. I buy into Medicare. There aren't private insurance companies who will cover me after I turn 62 or 65 or 67. Right. So let's not get rid of that. Well, then where do we stop? So that disconnect between logic, reality, and a divisive haves and have-nots, and they like to put themselves on the side of the haves, makes me think the Tea Party might go away.
Well, you know what? It's like Ray Charles said, and we're going to say to Colonel West, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more.
That's a sweet song.
Well,
especially singing it to him out the door.
That's right. And so that brings us to our next subject matter. You're the 13-year-old girl with the gun. You want to talk about that, Frantz?
That's back in Florida, right?
Back in Florida.
Always.
There's a young girl, she's 13 years old, got shot and killed on a school bus by a classmate. And they don't give details right now because they're kids, so we don't know their names, but I wanted to talk about the gun laws on this. Shouldn't there be stronger gun laws? There's too many incidents going on with these guns.
Well, here's the thing about the Second Amendment. There's hardly been any litigation over the 230 some odd years of this country on the Second Amendment. There's been plenty on the First, and plenty on the Fourth, and plenty on the Fifth, and plenty on the 14th, and others. But there's almost no Second Amendment jurisprudence. That is to say, we all agree what the Second Amendment says. We just disagree on what it says. So, here's the theory behind stronger gun laws in my book, being a progressive one. There are 300 million firearms in the country. Here's the hard part. It is hard to take a gun away from a person who's got a gun, even if you have a gun. So tell me, how are we going to actually disarm people? So the straw man argument that says Barack Obama or liberals or anybody is going to come take your guns away is really the it's kind of like the dog whistle for all gun enthusiasts or NRA members.
Right.
It's not going to happen, but that's how they really rally them and get people to donate money. Here's what needs to happen. Logical, common sense, firearms, guns, legislation. Can't we do a couple of things? Eliminate the loophole for gun shows. That is to say, if you go buy it at Cabela's or at any other store, Bass Pro Shops, federal background check. If you go buy it at a gun show, loophole. No, you don't have to. Number two, why can't we make a national legislation on capacity of magazines? That is the container that actually holds the rounds that goes into the weapon that allows you to continue to shoot. If it holds 30 or 50, why? Why are we hunting with 30 or 50 rounds? No. It allows for more fatalities, like in Aurora, Colorado, at the movie theater on the opening of Batman, or Gabby Giffords, the representative from Arizona, representative in Congress.
Right.
We're talking about 30, 40, 50 capacity rounds in these magazines. Why can't we do those two things? Make sure that everyone. So then we start there. It seems to me that's reasonable, and we're not taking your guns away. I have a firearm.
Right.
I don't want you to take mine away.
So what do you think about assault rifles then?
Well, the assault rifle ban was good for 10 years and then expired under the Bush administration and was never renewed because we had a very conservative president from Texas, and everybody knows nobody likes guns like people from Texas, and a conservative Congress. It wasn't going to happen. They let it expire. Should we renew it? Then what happens with all of the assault rifles that's been purchased since it expired 10 years ago? I mean, yeah, I think so, because assault rifles are high-capacity, high-power weapons that are meant to kill people, not deer.
Right.
I mean, you know, if we can limit the damage if somebody does go crazy, a mentally ill person, a criminal, who wants to go and shoot a bunch of people in a mass massacre type situation,
right,
where they've got to reload more often. We know that we can count people who would not have been killed in Arizona and Aurora, Colorado, because people have actually done it. They know when the reloading happened.
right.
these seem to be common sense starts. We're not going to ever take away your guns. We can't do it. Think about it. Again, how do you take away a gun from a guy who's got a gun? It's really hard.
Guns are here to stay, and I guess we just have to figure out a way how to regulate them, so these young fools, these young teens, are not walking around just killing each other. You know, crazy. The 13-year-old girl, what did she do? What did she do?
The legislation that I just proposed would not have affected the girl who died on the school bus in Florida. It wouldn't have, because it only takes one bullet.
Right.
It would not have affected her. We live in a free society. One of the freedoms that we have is a right that is recognized, not necessarily created by, but recognized by the Second Amendment. I believe it was created in order for states to keep and maintain a militia in case a tyrannical and overly powerful federal government came into power. Okay, that's how it's written. It says militia.
Right.
The Second Amendment has been recognized, or recognizes that we as people have the right, since the infancy of this country, to keep and bear arms. I don't know how we're going to change it. It's one of those things that if everybody's got guns, you're not going to go and take them away.
Right.
And if we do start going to collect guns, a lot of people going to do the collecting are going to get hurt.
Right. Right.
So how do we do? I think we have to realize that there will still be tragedies in this country, but what we can ask for is common sense legislation that allows for people on the right and allows for people on the left to come together and say, this makes sense. Why wouldn't we make sure that the mentally ill and criminally violent don't have access to legal guns? And then also limit capacity. And then we can start about other issues with the assault weapons, or even further. But guns are here.
It seems to me that the gun owners are defend the painfully obvious legislation, because that's a slippery slope to the pretty obvious choices, which is true in most things. I would say not just in gun control, but other things too. It's like, well, you know, like now, I mean, bringing it back to the economic policy of Obama, talking about, well, at least we can, you know, guarantee the poor people won't get taxed anymore before we decide whether or not the rich. But of course, you know, it's a slippery slope. If you let them, then of course, you know, the blatantly obvious, if we let the blatantly obvious happen, then the probably sensible will also be next thing down the road. We can't have that.
Yeah, everybody's afraid of the slippery slope, and when it comes to certain areas of legislation, yeah, we're worried about that, the slippery slope. I mean, abortion rights advocates are worried about the slippery slope of legislation that restricts abortion. People in the tax realm, economic, finance realm, are worried about, if you raise it on the rich, you're going to raise it on all of us. The firearms, guns advocates. So if we make the slippery slope the reason not to do anything, then we're not going to do anything.
Right. It's just going to get worse. But we on the Bill and Frantz show, we definitely agree with Bryan's assessment. And with that, we will be back. As I'm walking on the beach, with sand between my toes, the ocean whistle, I'm in love again. Yeah, those hippies on the side, smoking out and getting high, I realize I'm in love again. She goes, she walks in slow-mo. Her beauty from head to toe just might explode. I'm in love. When the things get tough and the tough get going, storm clouds turn to rainbows. That's love. Looking from the beach out to the sea, what lies beyond I cannot see, but we love.
This is performance art.
All right, welcome back to the Bill and Frantz Show. We still got Bryan Edwards here. Everything's nice on this beautiful autumn day. Now we're going to talk about Elmo and the Muppets. Take it, Frantz.
Well,
Set the scene. Set the scene.
this is the scoop right here, Hollywood scoop. Elmo, Kevin Clash, resigned today from his position.
Elmo is the Kevin Clash is the puppeteer and
Right.
voice of the very popular character on Sesame Street named Elmo.
Elmo, yes.
And he resigned today because, according to news reports in the
Right.
media, it has been found out that he is a gay man.
A gay man in public television
Now-
and doing puppets.
So what we're saying now is gay puppeteers are off limits. There's no more. That's it. We've laid a line. This sets a precedent. This is a bright line. We now know there are no more gay puppeteers allowed.
Exactly. But you know, now, my thing is, that's the reason I say I don't know why he resigned, because it's not illegal to be gay.
Well, I bet you, I mean, it might just be that he's like, well, thanks for exposing me. You know, that's my private life, and I'm a private person, so thanks for ruining my life. See ya, because I don't want to be in the public light. Thank you very much.
What would precipitate a puppeteer to quit after having done nothing illegal and only engaged in a consensual relationship?
Right. Unless he was in a heterosexual relationship and had that on the side quietly, and this guy exposed him because he wanted to blackmail him for some money or something.
I want anyone who's ever cheated on his or her wife or husband, or girlfriend or fiance, anyone who has actually broken a trust with a romantic partner, to now quit your job.
Okay. That should help the economy.
Right.
Oh, that'll be
A lot
great.
of people out of work.
I mean, it's a moral thing. You
You've
can't.
got to.
Yeah.
You've got to. It's just that simple.
Yeah, we can't work if you've been cheating.
Right. But like I said, the guy exposed him for some reason, you know. So.
Yeah.
Bill and Frantz Show is pure conjecture right now, so
Right.
I'm sure that more details will be revealed to his great sadness, I'm sure.
Right. Right.
On a new note,
Hey.
I would like to say that I'm starting my own band. It's it's called Banjovi. Now, I don't play the banjo, but the theory behind the band Banjovi is we're going to play all Banjovi covers exclusively on a banjo. Have you ever heard Banjovi played on a banjo?
I have not.
Well, you just wait.
First time for everything.
I know that's right.
And I'm sure that first time was probably 20 years ago.
And you heard it first here on the Bill and Frantz Show. We thank you for watching the show. We enjoyed you like we know you enjoyed us. Come back and see us again. Peace out.